Support for the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FTP at au.manscaped.com. If my math is correct, and it might just be, that's about 8 million balls.
For the Players.
I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And this is For the Players, the Pop Culturist PlayStation podcast. With 40 years of playing PlayStation and 10 plus years in that games media combined, I'd like to thank you for joining us in this PlayStation conversation.
This PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTubes. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, you can. Come and check out all our socials, Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
If you want to join us as the conversation happens, head over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can by telling your friends, telling your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are listening on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can. Patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts and other assorted shit with our logos on it. Or you can help support the brands that support us, just like the team over at Manscaped. If you head over to au.manscaped.com, use the promo code FTP, save yourself a little bit of dollary-doos, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. What a week it has been, Max. Mostly for me.
Yeah.
As I sit here and cough my guts up, because this week I got COVID. So the old
my corona.
I got that spice, and it's been interesting because I think I had a conversation with someone on Monday being like, I have no idea how I've been able to dodge COVID for the last 2 years. How did I do it? Who knows? Turns out I totally didn't. I was super infectious when I made that statement.
Well, I think it was me, because I had to get tested for COVID last Monday because I spent a good 6 hours in close proximity with someone who tested positive that day. Yeah, but I dodged it so far.
So I'm thinking back to where mine came from. So, you know, we talked about last week how I went and took my son to the trampoline place. I think that's where I got it. Because it makes sense. There's kids everywhere, people jumping and breathing and spluttering. And but I was also feeling unwell before then. So I may have had a cold that then lowered my immune system, which then allowed COVID to get in. And that's where I'm at now. Because I had a shitty throat and my voice was all jacked up last week. But then, yeah, I didn't test until Wednesday. Because the problem I have is I already have a problem with my immune system. Like every day I take a steroid immunosuppressant nasal spray and a Telfast. And mostly because my nose is either snotty, runny, or I'm coughing or whatever. So it wasn't like a lot of the symptoms aren't really out of the blue, but it wasn't until one of my colleagues went, "Hey, I tested positive for COVID, and these are my symptoms." I went, "I should probably check myself, eh?" And I did, and it was one of those that rat test. Boy, did it just go fluorescent! I was like, ah! It wasn't even it's a faint line. That shit was glowing. I was very COVID.
I like the way that rat tests are they don't tell the truth until they've been soaking for 15 minutes. But if you read it after 16 minutes, it's invalid. I'm so, okay, I've got this sweet spot of a window, and if I miss it, I'm fucked.
I didn't need it. I didn't need the whole 15 minutes. I got it done in 2. It went, burn. I'm like, oh, that's obvious. So yeah, then I've been spending the rest of the time in isolation. At time of recording, I'm currently in day 5. So I get out at 12:01 a.m. on a Wednesday, the 4th of May. And I cannot wait. I'm just gonna go to bed or wake up at 12:01 and do something. I'm just gonna get out of my house. I'm gonna go to Kmart. Fuck it. I'm gonna go to 24/7 McDonald's. I don't know. Just do something to get out of my house.
Come visit me at work.
Yeah, I'll come visit you at work and then give you the dregs of COVID or something. But I'm itching, absolutely itching to get out of the house. Like, it's been painful. How's your week been, though?
Yeah, it's been alright. So obviously I wasn't here last week, and then we both had the week prior off. Mm-hmm. So I had I've had a month.
Oh my god, yeah.
I've had a couple of family members pass away over the course of this month, within 2 weeks of each other, which is why I wasn't here last week. I kind of needed to screw my head back on properly, and I hadn't played games for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and family always comes first. So
was kind of withdrawn and whatnot. And I didn't. I just didn't. I don't think I could have done it last weekend. It was all just a bit too much. And then after that we had the COVID scare. My wife's parents have both got COVID now, and we had spent the afternoon with them the day they tested positive. So we're like, oh, this is it. This is how we get done in. Like. But luckily both Ali and myself have tested negative. We haven't had any symptoms at all this week, which is awesome. But this week's been pretty cruisy. Work's kind of all up in the air at the moment. We're in a transition period between a new manager kind of taking over, and that person has unfortunately been kind of thrown into the deep end. She's locked out of a lot of the systems, so all our shifts are disappearing and reappearing at odd times. We're having problems clocking in and out of work. It's just, it's been a fiasco. But other than that, I've been pretty good this week.
That's good.
I've at least been able to go outside and get some fresh air.
Fuck you. But yeah, look. So you were really handy. You did do a supply drop for me with all my specialty need food, which I greatly appreciate. all these lactose free variants you had to go hunt down, so I could drink and eat food. It was awesome. But it's been interesting. So, like, I've talked about, last week, possibly the week before, whenever the last episode before that, I should say, where I was talking about, it's like, I'm fucking super depressed. And that hasn't changed, except the difference is I'm now stuck in my home, which isn't helping. But one of the downsides of it was I was lacking the motivation and or give a shit to play games. So you'd think, being stuck in my house for 5 days, or so far, I'd be just playing games up a storm, right? No, not at all. Not at all. Like, it's interesting because, like, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's the best time. Now, granted, I did do some work from home. Like, I've been super knackered. Like, it's kicked the shit out of me. So I've done some work from home, some not. But like, I'm like, oh no, I've ended up just staring into the void mostly. Watching YouTube aimlessly, or just existing. I've really not had any compulsion to play games, but it wasn't until last night, so Saturday at time of recording, because I was meant to be going to a wrestling show, Renegades of Wrestling, their first ever show for a brand new promotion here in Victoria. Fucking devastated that I couldn't go. So I was like, well, I need to play something. Like, I've got a couple more days left in me. Let's do something with it. Something semi-productive, at least. And I looked at all the new games that I have, and just none of them are interesting me right now. None of them are giving me any sort of like, oh yeah, I should go play that. Like, I tried to boot up Gran Turismo 7, nothing. Booted up Tiny Tina's, nothing. Booted up, was something else. Something else I put it up. I went, like, and even WWE, I was like, nah. So like, oh, let's think about what else do I have to play? Well, it's part of our backlog challenge, which, you know, I don't believe you've touched at the moment.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So I got Horizon done the other month. That was awesome. And I did get credits on Horizon last week. Forbidden West, sorry, like we talked about last week. And I was like, cool, well, that leaves me In Sound Mind and Red Dead Redemption. Why the fuck I picked Red Dead Redemption still? I have no idea. Same reason you picked Valhalla. We're crazy. Crazy. So I dived back into that last night. And that was actually a good decision because I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm still in the... Because I started the game again probably like August of last year, I think. And I'm about... Because I stopped playing for like months. Almost all this year. I am pretty much back up to where I was last time I stopped playing. So the camp has moved. I'm in the middle of chapter 3. The camp has moved. I'm now deputized in the city of Rhodes. Excuse me. So I'm doing the stuff with the greys and the Braithwaites and stuff like that while also building up the posse. It's good. It's a very, very good game. Very good game. But I knew that. So it's not like surprising. It's just like, I guess it's that right amount of aimless wandering and like pointless tasks. And because I've spent a bit of the time just like hunting deer and shit for no reason. I think I just needed something that was a little bit without that pressure. Now, granted, like, thankfully you've played a game this week that we received a review code for that I have barely touched. And I'm thinking that maybe off the back of the Red Dead Redemptions, I might be inclined to play it. Because as the title of the episode is, Weird Disco Redemption, Max, you've been playing Weird West.
Yeah, so I've put some time into Weird West. I initially picked it up when we first received our code. I put a couple of hours into it, and then it kind of got pushed to the side. And earlier this week, picked it back up. So I'm about 10 hours in at the moment. I started again fresh when I picked it up the second time. And it's that... it's starting to click with me. It's giving me that. Obviously, it has that Wild West setting. So I've only played the one character so far. I know there are multiple playable characters in this game. So I'm playing as the base character, who's a woman. Basically, she's on the hunt for her husband's missing. She's trying to track him down, follow the clues, find where he is. And you have, this game gives you so much player agency on how you want to go about getting the information out of the populace of the world. So fairly early on, you get told that the mayor of a local town will have some knowledge. So you go and meet him, and he's like, hey, I'm a dick. I'm not going to give you the information you need unless you do something for me first. It's like, I want the deed to the farm down the road because they've got that good soil. They've got that great soil, so I can grow all my wares there. So you go down to the farm, and they're like, the mayor sent you, didn't he? And you can be like, oh yeah, the mayor sent me. Or you're like, no, I'm here on my own. And they're like,
sorry for all the coffee. He
wants our land, doesn't he? Well, you tell him basically to go F himself. And then they say they're basically like, he's just go find dirt on him. You should go check out the basement of his house. And then it's like, well, the mayor's a bit of a dick, but I'm here now and I could just kill you all and take the deed to the land. But I don't like...
But they're innocents, man. They're innocents, yeah.
But you guys seem all right. I'm gonna go see what dirt he's got. So I go back and they're like, you got my shit? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna have a look. Just give me a minute. And then you find that he has a prisoner, and the prisoner tells you all this nasty shit. And then you're like, yeah, fuck this guy. And then you torture him to get the information. You just take the mayor out. He's like, screw you. So it's so good. It's so good. And in the combat scenario, it's this twin stick shooter, essentially. But it allows you to quick save as often as you want in combat, so you can try different strategies. If something doesn't work, you reload your save, or you stuffed up your grenade throw or your dynamite throw, so you reload your save. You accidentally alerted the initial sentry, and everyone jumps you at once. Try that again, because you can sneak around and basically like sleeper choke them out. And then just loot all their stuff and just don't go in guns blazing and alert everyone. You can try to do it sneaky. You can go in guns blazing if that's what you want to do. You can hire people to join your posse, and you can roll in with a crew. If combat's getting too hot, you can steal their horses and just flee. There's so many things that you can do, and both in and outside of combat, that it's reminiscent of those old school RPGs, but in a more action-based setting. I was trying to describe the game to a friend, and he was the one who said it kind of sounds like Disco Elysium or Weird West Elysium was the. So I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty good summation for that game. The artistic style of the game is fantastic, and I think it plays well having that top-down isometric view, being a twin-stick shooter. They do it. It fits the scene and setting so well of the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm very much enjoying it. I've been playing that on the back end of rolling credits for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Hey, there you go.
So I rolled credits for that earlier last week. I did jump into the first DLC.
Oh, yeah. So Padge was talking about that last week, actually, the DLC. How'd you find it? He said it was a little bit lackluster. How'd it work for you?
It is not great. I think it took me about 15 minutes to finish. Mm-hmm. It's essentially a very short mission. I wouldn't call it a campaign. It's a very short multi-step mission that unlocks a boss fight. And then once you beat that boss, it throws the boss into the, I believe it's called the Chaos Chamber, which is essentially the end game content for Tiny Tina's, where it's kind of like just a horde shooter where different with different rules applying at each stage. So the longer you push through, the more detriments you get, but the better the loot is at the end. Mm-hmm. So the more you punish yourself, the better the rewards. So you play that risk reward of, if I fail, I get nothing, but if I push myself, I could potentially get more.
Very, very cool. So how did you find the complete campaign of Tiny Tina's?
It was fun. It's a lot of, to a degree, it is a lot of piss fighting around doing side quests. Mm-hmm. The main story quests do not see you through. So whenever you hit the next main story quest, if you're too low a level, it's like, hey, all the enemies in this area are going to be level X. You are 3 below level X. You should probably go do side quests somewhere else for a bit.
Okay.
Now, for the most part, they're fine. Most of the side quests do lead to really cool stuff, interesting characters. Some in Borderlands fashion, it's got those that fantastic red flavored loot that usually is a little bit stronger than their standard counterparts. So it's worthwhile doing. But sometimes when you kind of want to just make that final push, and it's like, hey, you're gonna struggle. I think I ended up doing, for context, I think the final area is recommended level 32. I went in there and at level 28 and kind of struggled a little bit, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so you kind of just gave up and went, I'm just going to run in and try.
You can overcome it if your build is good enough. So I was playing the necromancer, the gravemancer or whatever. Mm-hmm. Can't think of what it's called. So a lot of my abilities allow me to regen health and come back to life for free. So it wasn't too bad. I had a lot of crowd control abilities, area of effect stuff. So it wasn't horrible for me to go in a little bit underleveled because I constantly regenerate health.
Nice. So how did the story come through? Because obviously Borderlands, one of the greatest things about it is the story, its humor, and especially here with like a very big celebrity cast. How did it all come together? Like from a gameplay, because obviously you're talking about gameplay a moment ago. How does from the narrative?
It's my second favorite Borderlands game after Borderlands.
Oh damn! All right, nice.
It pulled through where Borderlands 3 fell short in its humor. Mm-hmm. The story campaign that Tiny Tina delivers from her perspective of her world, as she's the DM running the game, her story is quite interesting. It does play out really, really well and does reward you at the end. It doesn't give short shrift to itself. It kind of does the ends of the the ends justify the means in this. It's quite good. It does all come together in a nice, succinct package, considering how crazy Tina is as a character.
Very, very good. Has there been anything else you've dived into this week?
Played a little bit more Rocket League. I've played, all those games that I get back into. But as of, was it last night, the night before, time of recording? Friday morning, Diablo 2 Resurrected's ladder mode kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm back on the Diablo 2 grind, playing ladder mode at the moment.
You also been spending time with, was it the Vampire Masquerade's Blood Hunt?
Oh, yeah, I played a couple of rounds of that. That's the new free-to-play Battle Royale on PlayStation. I got to play it 6 months ago. I got into the alpha and beta on PC. Turns out I still suck. My reaction time is just not as good as it used to be, and shooting games are really hard for me now because I've got old man reaction times.
Yeah, I'm glad you're finally catching up to me. I've had old man reaction times for many years, and you had always been better than me. But like, at least now you're probably still better than me. But you're entering my area.
And then last night I've dabbled in Wii Switch Sports.
How's that? Oh, I know it's unrelated to PlayStation, but how's that go?
It's pretty good. The first night I had to play it essentially in handheld mode because my Switch dock's broken.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I managed to steal yours for the evening last night, and it works much better on a TV because I can actually see what I'm doing. This is really hot. I'm going to take this off real quick.
Well, because yeah, so for those that don't know, Max is rocking his Harry Potter hoodie. Because the complaint was, it's cold as hell in the room. And that's true, because it is a very cold day here in Victoria. And then both, Max and I live essentially on the same street, so we have matching temperatures. And yeah, my house is so cold. So cold. So I did debate getting the audio on before myself. But, this with the room with the lights and the computer and the screens, it tends to heat up in here pretty quick. So
I have done that as gracefully as I could.
That was very good. That was very, very good.
Oh, that's
Speaking of very gracefully, though, let's get into one thing before we make our jump to the news. And this is where we do our ad read. So, Manscaped. Manscaped, the number one company in below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped have recently released the Lawnmower 4.0. It is the all-around body hair trimmer. Max has one. I have one. We trim our shit with it. I trim my beard with it. I took the advice from you, Max, and it has been exceptional for the beard.
Now, you did clean it first, right? You didn't go
I did face then balls. That's the trick.
Man.
Because you're very clean shaven today, which is out of the blue. Now, normally I'm someone that does the clean shave because my beard pisses me off, but I hate being super clean shaven. I think my face doesn't quite work. But
you want that like 5 o'clock shade?
Yeah, I like a little bit. And the challenge is that my beard is patchy, so letting it grow by itself, it's a whole different mess. But having the lawnmower, because it's a body hair trimmer, it's not just it doesn't just not work on your dick, but like. It trims it all, which allows the empty parts to fill out a little bit, and then it kind of comes across at least somewhat consistent, which I really appreciate. So I'm able to have somewhat of a beard, thank you to Manscaped, to allow me to become more masculine, which is awesome. But yeah, it's been very, very good. And of course, we should also mention that if you are going over to au.manscaped.com, having a look at the body hair groomers, be sure to check out the formulations. I have still continue to use the two-in-one shampoo, the body wash, the crutch cleanser, I think it's called, or the fucking front area stuff. The moisturizer. All fantastic deodorant. I smell amazing. I have no one to impress right now because I'm stuck isolated in my house all by myself. Doesn't matter how good I smell. However, after a couple of days of just like hating my life, I did step up and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a shower. I'm gonna like I had a shower the whole time, but I'm gonna get dressed. I'm gonna make myself pretty. I'm gonna do my hair, and I gave myself a big scrub down with the Manscaped stuff. I felt really, really good, and I actually kind of got me out of a minor funk of being in isolation, which was much appreciated. But if you too want to care for your front area, keep yourself clean, do what you gotta do, get yourself out of a funk, head over to au.manscaped.com. Use the promo code FTP. You save yourself 20% off and you get free worldwide shipping. That's au.manscaped.com. The promo code FTP. Get yourself a bit tidier, you know? Trim the front area. Make yourself feel good.
I also cannot recommend the Weed Whacker enough, which is the nose hair trimmer.
Yeah.
The thing is a lifesaver.
Right now, full of COVID, when I need clear nose holes, that Weed Whacker, I am so grateful for that Weed Whacker. Let me tell you. Anyway, one other thing I'm grateful for is the news. And this is a section we call In the Form, the place we tell you about what happened this week in PlayStation. But before we do that, BZ in the chat. Oh, Bezo goes, Ryan's balls look and smell like a baby's butt. That's right. Don't think about that too hard.
All right, let's kick things off with the easy one. Let's talk PlayStation Plus games for May. Coming in, we have FIFA 22 for PS5, PS4, Tribes of Midgard, PS5, PS4, and Curse of the Dead Gods, PS4.
Now, so
a sports game, a roguelike, and a Tribes of Midgard is kind of sort of roguelite-esque, but is like a building game at the same time. It's very weird. I think I own all of these games.
Yeah, so FIFA I don't nor am I interested. But Tribes of Midgard and Curse of the Dead God, it's very interesting to have two god-esque themed games on the same month. Can you remember Tribes of Midgard I remember you being interested in that originally? I remember seeing this.
I bought it on launch day because one of my friends was like, "Hey, we're gonna play it all the time. It's gonna be awesome. It's a big co-op team-based thing. It's akin to those like Ark and Conan and all that, except it's like a top-down isometric view as opposed to like first or third person. And it's just it didn't hit the spot. It's very fast-paced, and if you cannot keep up, that's it. It's game over. Like if you're not paying attention, or you spend too much time getting loot and not enough time killing the enemies, your base just gets overrun and there's just nothing you can do about it. You have to manage your time so precisely to stay in it that the difficulty curve is incredible.
Brutal. Well, the only thing I remember about Curse of the Dead Gods, it had a really cool art style. That was the thing that caught my attention the most. Now, I've not played any of these, so for myself, I'm like, sure, why not? But have you played Curse of the Dead Gods?
Yeah, once or twice.
How's that one go?
I preferred Hades.
Oh, is it very similar to Hades?
Yeah, from memory, I'm pretty sure it's a roguelike.
Bit like Aldi Hades.
Let me double check just in case I'm thinking of something.
Yeah, because in my memory, it's that too.
But I'm pretty sure it's a roguelike.
And this COVID's fucking cough is wrecking me.
And I think it released around the same time.
Yeah, it was a very similar release window, I think, from memory. At least probably within like a couple of months of each other.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill-based roguelike. Cool. Nice. I'm not going crazy.
Very nice. But look, one thing that we were chatting about last week with Paj was this whole PlayStation Plus, this new subscription after Spartacus was officially confirmed. The information was dropped, and now we have some more information about it. We have the conversion rates for here in Australian Dollarydoos. Do we have the Australian Dollarydoos yet?
No, we do, but I didn't convert them.
Oh, well, can you please pull up, because they are available somewhere?
It's $79.99, $129, and $159.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. All right, but here we go. We finally got access to the conversion scheme that Sony's put in place. $154. For active members looking to redeem prepaid PS Plus or PS Now vouchers that they have purchased. To reiterate, if you already have a PS Plus or PS Now subscription, you will not be able to redeem codes until 13th of January in the US and 22nd in Europe. If you don't currently have an active membership but have purchased a prepaid voucher, you'll be able to redeem it in any time.
So Sony this week, just to clarify that, this week Sony have stopped you from being able to buy a PlayStation Plus subscription if you already have one active. Mm-hmm. So normally whenever they go on sale, I'll buy a full year, and then it tacks it onto the end and rolls it over.
Yeah.
They've also blocked you from redeeming codes if you go to a retailer and buy a PlayStation Plus subscription. They've blocked that because of the way that you're about to mention about the conversion rates of how it's going to swap over for you.
Yeah. So essentially, what they're getting at is because of the different pricing, the tiered price model, it's going to change some things. So if you are currently a PS Plus subscriber with what is currently the way it is, you essentially get transferred near 1-to-1 for a PS Plus Essential, which is the base entry, right? But if you then want to upgrade to what is PS Plus Extra or PS Plus Premium, or whichever the one that we have here in Australia, which is different again, which is PS Deluxe, it works this way. So essentially, if you have 1 month, you get 31 days of PS Plus Essential, checks out. 20 days of PS Plus, or 17 days of PS Plus Premium. 3 months, the ratio is a little bit better, so it's 92 days as PS Plus, 58 days. Actually, that's kind of shitter. That's less days. And then PS Plus Premium is 46. If you happen to have 12 months, 365 days of Essential, 219 of Extra, or 183 of Premium. So in short, there is a transfer rate. So if you were to, go up the tiers, how it would reflect. Now that we have the Australian pricings here, Max, what are you going to do?
So my understanding also, just before we move on, Sony have also announced that if you have a PlayStation, obviously this doesn't affect us in Australia, but if you have an active PlayStation Plus and a PlayStation Now subscription, you will automatically be moved across to PlayStation Plus Premium, which is their ultimate tier. And you get... It's a 1-to-1 conversion of whatever is your longest running subscription. So if your PlayStation Plus has more time left than PlayStation Now, you will get the PlayStation Plus time, not the PlayStation Now time. So I think they've blocked the purchases to stop people from buying 1 month of PlayStation Plus and 3 years of PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
Or whichever one works cheaper to kind of get you the most bang for your buck.
Because I know that was happening in the US prior to this alteration. People were just buying stacks of PS. Now, of course, not available in this country, which sucks to be Australia. So we get PS Deluxe, whatever, which is essentially everything but the PS3 access, which is disappointing. So now that we know the prices, at $150 something a year,
I think it's $154.99 because. So Sony, obviously we don't have access to the PlayStation 3 titles, so Sony were like, hey, we understand that in those countries that don't have PlayStation Now, you won't have access to PS3 titles. We're going to call it PlayStation Plus Deluxe, and you will get some Dollarydoos savings because you're not getting all the content. Turns out we're actually only saving $5. If you look at the exchange rate, it would come out to $160 a year. And we're paying $155, so we're getting just the tiniest smidge of a discount. As to what I'm going to do, I will probably check out PlayStation Plus Premium for 1 year. I honestly, though, can't see myself going back and playing too many PlayStation 1 or 2 titles. The ones that I enjoy are pretty niche at best, and I have a feeling that they're going to look absolutely terrible. On my 4K screen. And the reality is I just don't think I would go back that far. I barely go back and play PS3 or PS4 titles now. I just don't see myself doing that. But the other hitch is to get these timed demos, you have to have PlayStation Plus Premium or Deluxe. They're not available in just the Extra. The Extra only gives you the PS4, PS5 Games Pass.
Yeah.
So I'll go full hog, and then if it doesn't work, I will probably just see myself going back to PlayStation Plus Essentials. Yeah,
I'm in a similar space. I don't go backwards very often. Going back and playing PS1, PS2, PS3. There are times where I'm like, ooh, maybe I could go back, and I get a little bit tempted, and I kind of want to give it a try. But I think
throw up in your mouth a little bit when you see it.
Yeah, and then I go, ugh, it's like the whole PlayStation Classic we talked about last week with Siphon Filter. I'm like, I have such strong positive memories of Siphon Filter, and then I boot the game up and I go, this is not what I remembered at all. So I do think that at least for the initial novelty of it all, I'll jump in a Deluxe and be like, yeah, let's give me some PS1, PS2. But even then, I feel I'm gonna have to see the list of available games before I dive in. Because right now, when we're 2 months away, not even a month away from it being essentially released at the back end of June, at least for Europe, which we'll likely get bumped in with. Now, for context, why Europe? We have been, it all comes down to region. Now, back in the day when DVDs had different regions, it was region 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 was the US, 2 was Asia, 3 was Africa, 4 was Europe and Australia. So hence why we are still lumped in as part of PlayStation Europe. It's also to do with the PAL region as well. So that's why we're lumped in with Europe, not lumped in with Asia. It's an old school thing. So that was hence why that's why we're June 22nd or whatever it was. Until that list is announced, I'm not going out of my way. Just because it's got PlayStation on it, which in history has shown that I will buy it, especially when it comes to donuts and or jumpers or on my own arm apparently. But I need a bit more sway here. Because admittedly, if I had access to PS3 as well, that would probably get me across the line. Because there are a number of games on PS3 that I would like to go back and finish or play again, but I'm too lazy to set up my PS3. Like, I would like to do God of War Ascension again, because it's one of the ones I've never finished. I'd like to do Metal Gear Solid 4 again, because Guns of the Patriots is great, but it's trapped on that console. Does the PS2 allow me to play, like, Snake Eater and... Sons of Liberty again, that'd be great. Yeah, sorry, Guns of the Patriots, not Sons of Liberty. Guns of Patriots are stuck on PS3. You know what I mean? That would get me across the line. Like, I would love to go play Resistance again. I'd love to play Infamous again. You know what I mean? Like, for me, they're the ones that I want to see. I've got good PS1 memories, but as you said, go back, it's going to be bad.
They should probably stay there.
Yeah, and like, I appreciate backwards compatibility from a preservation standpoint, which will get us into the next story. But without that PS3, it's not getting me across the line. And if they're only $5 difference, I'm like, well, I feel like we're getting a little bit shafted here. Because paid demos is shit in general. But I understand why it's there, because they need to incentivize it somehow, because there's really not a whole lot to offer otherwise. But that's also not my problem. Like, there's a nice chunk of information on the PlayStation Plus Premium demos also further down the list. Well, let's jump into the preservation and then we'll go into the demos.
All right, so earlier this week, Garrett Fredley broke the internet for PlayStation fans. He announced on Twitter that he was working with Sony on a newly created games preservation team. In an update, he has tried to explain what exactly that role is. Fredley provided a link to a GDC talk he held a few years ago discussing his preservation work at EA. In it, Fredley explains that what this actually means, in very basic terms, preservation is the process of ensuring all aspects of a game and its creation are not only archived correctly, but kept in a state in which it could feasibly be restored and brought back in the future. His responsibilities at PlayStation are, quote, similar, although larger in scope. We imagine that he and other preservation staff will be working to archive Sony's back catalogue, but not necessarily for redistribution. It's impossible to know at this stage. He signs off by saying he's unsure if he'll be involved in any emulation of any kind.
See, this is something like is good. Like, so with many games, as we just discussed, trapped on particular consoles, and with Sony having 30 plus years of legacy right now, like back in the day, it wouldn't have made as much sense to have a focus on this. But as the games industry keeps moving forward, and we constantly hear about things getting lost to the ether, whether it be the rights to a game, whether it be the original source code, everything about it is just completely losable. Like, how many times we heard, like, oh, they've gone back to remaster the game and they don't know who owns it, or they don't know where it is, and it's just gone forever. Yeah. So that part is really good. And I think it's important to see where we came from, especially when we're moving forward. So an example to me is I'm going to shit on Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Like, I want to look back and be like, hey, there are games that gave these awesome quality of life things that Elden Ring chose to forget for some reason. Oh, what a time. How good are map markers? Oh, so good. You know, it's like these little things, you just see the progression of games from their really gross polygonal PS1 days to the incredible games that we have now. it's such a cool way to be able to see that and experience. And as you said, it may not be there for redistribution, and that's fine. But having it at some point in general is certainly a positive stance, and a positive stance to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think it's going to be some sort of like backwards compatibility, big picture thing? No,
not at all. I don't think so. I think if that was the case, they would have created this team before going, hey, we're dropping a bunch of PS1, PS2 stuff on a subscription service.
Yeah.
I think the games that they're going to put on it, they've already got ready to go. I don't think they're going to add too much to that list.
Yeah.
I think this is very much like you're saying, just in case, we're going to make sure this is all backed up and locked down tight. So if we do want to revisit it, it is possible, but we know it's going to be there when we look.
Yeah, because I think well, very similar to I've brain farted. Very similar to the movie industry, right? Right now they're running on remakes and reboots. So the games industry has moments where they rely very heavily on remasters when things are going down and the momentum's a bit quiet. Remasters are key, and having this ready to go allows them to continue that, for better or worse, to continue that momentum. So when they have like, oh, maybe we should remaster something because a new game's coming out, they have access to it. It just I presume this would nicely streamline a couple of things, and potentially. But once again, it all depends on whether their focus is redistribution or not, which I don't think it will be, which is a bummer. Anyway, one thing that PS Plus is going to happen, as we mentioned Max a moment ago, is the demos. So earlier this week, an update to the PlayStation Developer Portal, a kind of official forum for partners, revealed that moving forward, it will require all games with a wholesale price of $34 US or higher to include a 2-hour trial for PS Plus Premium members to play. There was some confusion around the original reporting shared by Game Developer, which suggested studios may have to manually create demos. The assumption was players would simply download the entire game and be restricted to 2 hours of gameplay, as that's how it works with EA Play's current 10-hour trials, for example. But it appears to be the case here as well. The demos, according to the reports, will be required to be available within 3 months of the game's release and must be provided for a year. Again, this is all mandated. With the exclusion of PSVR games, publishers can also create bespoke demos if they prefer, but this requires additional resources. So the idea is either you get 2 hours of the game or they make a very exclusive demo with that in mind. As long as a demo is provided, it appears to be that's the focus. The problem, according to additional reporting from Kotaku, is that none of this has been properly communicated. Sony bad at communication? Who would have thought? And developers and publishers are a little peeved. And they're seemingly being required to provide 2 hours of their titles to Sony without compensation. So here's the rub. PlayStation can sell its pricey £99 or $119 pound subscription tier with its added perk, which is pulled from Push Square. But publishers, as we understand it, don't see a cent of that money.
Kind of sucky.
So yeah, that's insane. So they have then required to offer more of their game without any back end pay, by the sounds from this new PS Plus model. That can't be right. Because like if you're going to have these games as part of like, see, it depends. Like, is this only for first party or second party dealings? Like, no, if you're asking every third party to do this, that's a little fucked.
It does seem to be it clearly states that it does say the partner portal, so I would imagine that to a degree, but it does state, any game with a wholesale price of $34 or higher.
Well, like that's a really weird sort of arbitrary line, like $35. I guess when the US, when prices are $60, it's kind of right down the middle. So it takes out a lot of those small indie games that normally are less than 2 hours to complete. It kind of cuts it in half and allows a lot of AA's and AAA's to come through. let's have a look in the chat here. So no. He goes, 2 hours is enough to feel if you're going to buy a game. For me, there's tons of games I'm interested in that I won't try as I don't want to spend the dollars on. And I agree. I think 2 hours, it's the same rule that Steam has. So it's not like an unprecedented amount of time. 2 hours is pretty good. Like EA Play, 10 hours, that you can fucking finish games in 10 hours. Like, you know pretty quickly whether you like it or not. Yeah, so I'm okay with it from as the idea of the demo per se. Having it be behind such a paywall, a bit shit. Especially as I remember when PS Plus was originally pitched back on the PS3 and or PS4, they went, oh, there will be demos as part of it.
Yeah, didn't they like invest heavily or purchase the Gaikai system, and they were like, every game will be a playable demo?
Yeah, well, Gaikai was a sort of a mix of what PlayStation Now became. So
yeah,
with that, the idea was like, yeah, if you get PS Plus, you get free games and you get exclusive demos, but that never came to fruition. Instead, it's coming together now with more money. So it's a weird choice, but having them not see having these companies, these publishers, developers not get any cutback from the subscription service, that interests me, mostly because, especially when you look at the likes of Game Pass, where Game Pass essentially will subsidize you for your time on Game Pass. That's my understanding anyway. To have Sony have a relatively similar system, but then not.
But I think the difference is between you get the full game on Games Pass. You can play it for as long as you want. You can download it. You can do whatever. You get 2 hours of this title. Like, it's kind of like it's that incentive of give them a taste so they want the rest and they'll purchase the game, as opposed to, because they're not going to get it for free. They're not getting it for free.
No. They
go, oh, I'm not sure about this game. So instead of going as no, put in the chat, instead of going, I'm not, by looking at it, I'm not feeling it, therefore I'm not going to spend $100 on it. Now it's free for me to play for 2 hours. I'll give it a burl. Wow, I really like this game, purchase. And there's the added benefit of, if it is the full title, you've already downloaded it. You can just continue your 2 hour game time at the end of it. You can just continue your play.
Yeah, and that part is huge. And I understand, like, as a good sampler and like as a kind of almost like a dirty drug deal, I get that. That's cool.
But at the same time, I don't know what the back end is for a developer to allow their game to be played for just 2 hours. Like, I don't know how much extra work that entails and what the cost of that equates to for them if they see nothing from it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Developers and publishers aren't just going to go, well, I'm sorry, we're not going to release, we don't have time to make a demo, we're not going to release it on your platform. That's not going to happen. So I think they're essentially trying to almost like strong arm some other companies with this. We have to do it. Do you want to sell your game on our system or not? And no one's going to say no. Because, why cut out half the market? Because we know right now PlayStation are ahead in terms of sales for the next generation of consoles, or what is now the current generation of consoles. And with everyone over on Xbox, by design, might I add, not buying games and instead relying pretty heavily on Games Pass, if you want to sell copies of your games, you put them on PlayStation, or you put them on PC, right? And that's the challenge they're going to have is, it's that whole lowering of the market thing with Game Pass, right? The idea is, people are like, oh, I'll just wait for it to come to Game Pass. No one really buys games anymore on Microsoft. Like when you look at, the monthly sales or whatever, very few games in those sales are coming from Xbox. And thankfully Sony haven't taken that on board. So it's not, doing too much damage to those creating the games, aside from this requirement for whatever. It's interesting. I'm keen to see what happens. But look, Sony can barely. You talked really really largely about like, oh, you get it for 2 hours, then you can just go buy it in the store, and then you are so reliant on the PlayStation backend, and we know very well that the Sony backend sucks ass. So much so that this week, the Vita's built-in store was fucked. but it's now been solved. Users were receiving, quote, this content may not yet be for sale or is no longer for sale. And then Sony has promptly solved the problem with the store, which wrongly suggested that these titles were no longer for sale. So essentially, on the back, and the irony here is on the back of the Vita store almost getting canned X amount of months ago, a year ago, to now go, yeah, you can't get it. Like, they clearly don't give a fuck about this store. They haven't for a while. And this is why preservation is important. This is why demos are important. This is why you should buy your games and not rely on subscription services.
Although to be fair, you did have access to everything you had already purchased. You could still download your stuff. You just couldn't buy new stuff.
Yeah, but what if I want to buy new stuff, Max? Huh? What about it?
The Vita's dead, Ryan. Let it go.
It is. It's very dead.
Moving on. The Quarry. Developer Supermassive Games' new title, The Quarry, spiritual successor to Until Dawn, has gone gold this week ahead of its June 10th, I believe, release date.
Excited.
Although this isn't the only piece of news to come out about The Quarry this week. Other news, the game will have 186 unique endings. Quote, we write it like a movie screenplay, director Will Biles explained. Actors are used to a 100-page script in a movie. The script for this is over 1,000 pages.
Jesus Christ.
They can get very alarmed. We have to shoot 50 pages a day, which is unheard of. It's a mad amount of footage. As you'd expect, there's a lot of repetition of similar scenes to account for all the gameplay permutations. Quote, we worked out 186 different endings for those characters, not just alive or dead. The stories that they have on the way through are massively varied. Branches really are a mathematical nightmare. It's just exponential. For example, the title will account for the relationships formed between characters and the impact they have on the outcome. Quote, we really like the idea of giving you context so you can have the exact same conversation, but know that that person has just killed someone and the context has changed everything. It's super cool.
So there's a couple of things about this.
Now, are the 186 endings truly unique? Am I wearing a hat in one and not a hat in the other? Therefore, it is two different endings.
Yeah.
Like, is it something that small, or are they more significant and diverse in their endings and will I have to get all 186 to get the plat?
Well, that was so look, okay.
But don't forget, a couple of weeks ago we reported on the story that you can play this game in movie mode and you pick some.
Yeah, I'm not playing this game 186 times.
You pick all your options at the start and you hit play and the game plays out for you. Look, I wonder if I can just do that 186 times and just let it run.
Unless the game is 45 minutes long, 186 times is insane. Now I understand. I'm with you. I imagine it's very small variants. It's like, he wore this shirt instead of this shirt, or a hat, or this hat and shirt combo, or this person stood to their left, or this person stood to their right. You mean like they can go down that line? Now there are two ways. There's the optimistic side of this, which is, oh my God, it's very unlikely anyone else will have the same version of the game that I did. That's fantastic. It's a truly choose your own adventure, unique experience. Like, that's like tabletop role-playing game level of specificity. That's mad. The pessimist like me, or the cynic like me, goes, that's a lot. And I get anxious playing the game through once, thinking that I've made the wrong choice. So then I have 185 other choices that it can end on. That just makes me so anxious. It makes every choice be horrible. Now, because I'm very much of a save before a choice, give it a try. Oh, I didn't like that one, try again.
So you were the kid who used to leave your finger in the book in the
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Because I don't like the idea of having to do it all over again. I only have so much time. Now, granted, The Quarry looks fucking mad, and if it's very good and very intriguing, then I may totally be down to play it a number of times. Now, as we talked about, when we're talking about on the show here, we'll be joined by our good friend Kat from Hear Us Scream. She's a massive horror movie fan, so she's the best person to come chat to us with it. And maybe it looks like maybe we might have to do a couple runs of it before we jump into the review, because this is way too many options. But I'm also very excited for the game. So I'm like, it makes me excited, scared, and happy all at the same time. It's a big, interesting feeling of emotions. But yeah, I don't know about you though. As the actors though, they normally get a 100-page script and they go, "Oh, hey, here's 1,000." Like the fuck. So if a movie script is 100 pages, they essentially have to film half a movie's worth of dialogue every day. That's a fuckload of writing and fuckload of reading and voice acting. That's absolutely insane. There's a lot of ambition in the Quarry, and look, Until Dawn was fantastic. The Dark Picture anthology is hit and miss. It has its moments.
Yeah.
But I hope it's not too big for their britches, is what I'm thinking. All right.
I agree.
Quick bits. Tales of Arise has topped 2 million sales. Yay, I guess, for Max. Final Fantasy XVI is in its, quote, final stretch of development, according to producer Naoki Yoshida. Also, yay for Max. Does that do it for you? Get your nips hard?
I'm so stoked. Yeah, that's good. It's good news. Good news. Hopefully we get actual news about it soon. But for now, I'm happy to know that it's in the final stretch, so I'll see it in like 3 years' time.
Yeah, so 2023, I think. 2023. At minimum, 2024. The new Call of Duty game has been announced, and it is, in fact, Modern Warfare 2. Not that Modern Warfare 2. Different Modern Warfare 2.
Well, I don't know. I couldn't find any information on if it's a remastered Modern Warfare 2 or if it's the continuation of the soft rebooted Modern Warfare from a few years ago.
Well, they've already remastered Modern Warfare 2. They did it like a while ago. So this would then be the This would be the continuation of the soft reboot, because that's only really confusing. Disney Dreamlight Valley is a free-to-play life sim starring classic Disney characters. It's like the comparison I saw was Animal Crossing, but with Disney. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That looks mad. I'm going to play the shit out of that. The only downside is I know it's going to be full of microtransactions and time.
Yeah, you'll have to buy all of the Disney characters. Otherwise, you're just living in a world with nothing in it.
Yeah, and it'll probably have all those time bullshits like, hey, you have to wait 16 hours for this thing and whatever.
Oh, yeah, your energy's run out. You can...
Oh, yeah, it's going to be full of that. It's going to be absolutely full of that. But it looked really cool. It did look really, really cool. And finally, Ubisoft announces the termination of online services for almost 100 of its older titles.
These are titles back on like PS3.
Yeah. And look, we can't play them here anyway, no matter. But okay, cool. Let's shout out to them supporting PS3 games until now, but also, whatevs.
For upcoming releases, we have Adios Amigos, Galactic Explorers, PS4, PS5 coming May 3rd. We have Wildcat Gun Machine coming to PlayStation 4 May 4th, and Trek to Yomi coming to PS4, PS5 May 5th.
Yeah, man. Like, I know a lot of our buddies are quite excited for Trek to Yomi. I know it's on, but our good literal buddy Watson, friend of the show. He is all kinds of primed and ready to go for Trek to Yomi. Because apparently it's like side scroll Ghost of Tsushima. And I know you're a sucker for like, what was that side scrolling Dark Souls-esque game that got you all moist?
Oh, like Salt and Sacrifice, Salt and Sanctuary, all of those. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Will this give you some loving?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, very nice.
It's not too far away.
Yeah, no, just a couple of days away. Look, I'll probably still be playing Red Dead Redemption and hating every other game. Just not really feeling the love, but there you go. Have we missed anything in the chat?
I was just going to say, Reverend Park just put in the chat relating to the Ubisoft stuff. It's a good portion of the old Assassin's Creed games, and if you earned anything from Uplay/Ubisoft Connect, it just magically isn't available anymore.
Oh, nice.
Classic.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it does check out. Anyway. But there we go. That does bring us to the end of this COVID-filled episode, for at least half of us. Thank you all for joining and listening to me cough and splutter my way through the show as I about to cough right now. Thankfully, my voice has come back. Was a bit shitty at the start of the week, but here it is now. And I'm a couple of days left of isolation. Wish me well as I slowly spiral into insanity. But, I appreciate you all taking the time to come chat to us on Twitch and listen to the show live or listen to it on podcast services, YouTube, whatever. We still greatly appreciate you all. As I say each and every week, time is the most valuable thing you can give to someone, and we appreciate you spending it with us. Max, send him home.
Well, everyone, this PlayStation conversation happens every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services. Monday morning at 8 a.m. on podcast services, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and 9 a.m. on those YouTube. Cheers, you take 2 weeks off and you forget everything. If you'd like to take part in future conversations with us, you can, though. Come and check out our socials. Facebook, Discord, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those links can be found in the description below.
Well, you heard me last week, right? Like, it's so used to the routine that, like, I couldn't do your part properly. I kept calling Paul Max. It's absolute bullshit. Like I said, we're so ingrained in it. But if you wanted to join that conversation live, you can by heading over to twitch.tv/thepopculturist, where you can watch us record this show live, where you can jump in the chat and become part of the show. If you want to support the show, you can. Tell your friends, tell your family about this PlayStation pod. If you are listening on podcast services, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a written review. If you are on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I endeavor to answer every single comment. If you want to support us financially, you can at patreon.com/thepopculturist, as well as our merchandise store, popculturist.com/shop, where you can buy shirts, other assorted shit with our logos on it. And of course, you can help support the brands that help support us by heading over to twitch.tv. Oh, nope. Heading over to au.manscaped.com. Use the promo code FTP. Get yourself 20% off and free worldwide shipping. So treat your front area. Keep yourself nice and clean, smelling good for the man, woman, or they in your life. But until next week, I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Max Cooper.
And that was For the Players. COVID sucks. I want to go outside so bad.
But you can go outside.
It's not the same. I can go into my courtyard, but like I know there's still a gate there. I'm just like, And like suddenly I realize all these things that I need to buy now that I can't leave the house. It's fucked. Isolation blows.
Deliveries for, mate.